Hi everyone! In this video, I will show you how to set up schema monitoring for your database using Atlas and GitHub Actions. So with schema monitoring, you get automatic entity relation diagrams for your database. You get code documentation, which you can browse and search. And of course, whenever your database schema changes, you get an entry in your changelog showing you exactly what changed and how. Okay, let's see how to set up schema monitoring for our database. In this example, I am monitoring a target Postgres database hosted on Neon, which is a serverless Postgres provider. So I'm going to go to the monitoring page on Atlas Cloud, and I want to use a GitHub action to monitor my database. I'm going to start by generating a token, which I will need to store in my GitHub Actions repository. So I go to Settings, Secrets and Variables, Actions, and I will name this secret Atlas Cloud token. The second thing that I need to do in order for this to work is to store the connection string to my database as the DB URL variable, and you can see that I've already done that beforehand. Next, I can copy this YAML manifest which defines the monitoring job. So I'm going to go to Actions, I'm going to create a new workflow, let's call it monitoring demo. And you will see here that this is set up as a cron job that will run every 4 hours. I am adding a workflow dispatch trigger so I can trigger this manually. And this workflow essentially has 2 steps. One is to install Atlas, and the second one is to run the monitor schema action, which monitors the database in this URL and reports the results to using my Atlas Cloud token. Let's commit this directly to the master branch. And now we can run this workflow. This takes a few seconds to complete. And once it's done, we can click the URL in the job output to see the schema of our database. You can see here that Atlas detects all of the tables and automatically generates documentation from our database schema. So many tools can generate documentation from your database, but one of the special things about Atlas schema monitoring is the ability to track changes. So let's see what happens when we change the schema of our project. So let's, for instance, add a new column using new Atlas. Let's add a new column to our database, and let's apply this using the Atlas CLI. Atlas connects to the target database, inspects its current state, and sees if there are any changes that we need to do. So here is our plan to add the new Atlas column integer column. Let's apply this on the database. Once our database schema has changed, we can now rerun the workflow to see what Atlas schema monitoring will do. This takes a few seconds to run, and when it completes, we can see the link to the schema monitoring dashboards. Now let's go to our API keys table, and we will find the new Atlas column that we have added. Additionally, we can see this via the changelog, and we can see that once schema monitoring shows that the schema has changed, it adds a schema changed entry to the log. So we can see how the database evolved over time. Another way to see this is to look at the history, right? So in this screen, we can look at how the database schema looked like at different points in time, as well as show a diff that highlights the exact change between the two different versions. Finally, if you have different teams in your organization that are interested in the way a certain database is changing, you can add a webhook, for example, to report to Slack whenever a specific table or database changes. So this concludes our video in which we have shown how to use Atlas with GitHub Actions to monitor the database schema of any target database. I hope you found this useful, and if you want to find more Atlas content, feel free to subscribe to our channel. See you next time.